In this episode, we expand our refinement and produce our first packaged fuel, complete the last milestone of Tier 5 and all milestones of Tier 6 at once, build ourselves a jetpack and a gas mask, and much more. Yo, hello everybody and welcome back to my Let's Play series of Satisfactory. In the last episode we set up a basic production line for plastic, rubber and petroleum coke and also undiscovered some new milestones. And in this episode the scope is a little bit different than expected, or at least told in the end of the last episode, because originally I was planning to handle a computer and AI limiter production setup, but Coffee Stain Studios recently announced that they will change the map with the upcoming update 8, and I want to combine this with a planned hard drive hunt that I had in mind anyways. So instead I will focus on prepare everything for what I will call a world exploration tour. And you can already see at the to-do list what's part of this preparation, so that we will have everything available that is necessary in order to explore the whole map of Satisfactory. And in the end of the last episode we set up a temporary production for heavy modular frames, and you can already see that I changed this to computers already. And in the meantime I already prepared some crystal oscillators, because we will need these to unlock further parts as well for today's episode. And yeah, I also had a temporary setup for circuit boards, but there are already quite a few of these, so I deleted it again. And I was also very busy in between episodes, so first of all let me give you a quick tour about what happened in between the last and this episode. First things first, I finally purchased the glass roof package from the Awesome Shop, and I was able to finally put a roof on the steel production factory, as you can see here, and this makes this production site basically finished. Because now, it finally has all the necessary structures so that it can be called a building. And I also moved around the logistics here a little bit more, so that it looks even cleaner. Now every output, the automated wiring, the motors and the versatile frameworks as well have overflow output, which leads down under to the logistics floor, gets merged again, same as for the steel beams and steel pipes as well, and they will get merged to this awesome sink. So I got rid of one awesome sink which was placed outside of the building, so we have only one around here. I also purchased in between episodes the part for the ramp walls, or not the part, the package for the ramp walls, as well for the inverted ramp walls, so I am able to close these gaps, because the windows or wall packages are only these standard rectangle shapes and are not really fitted to be combined with ramps. So yeah, now we can make this look completely clean as well. Yes, so far for the steel production side. And I also finally had the motivation to upgrade the basic first setups for modular frames, for rotors, reinforced iron plates and smart platings. And I started by thinking about how can I set up a more efficient way of producing modular frames, and my target was 10 modular frames per minute. So I only tapped into one pure iron node, and I overclocked it a little bit because during my building process I realized that 240 is quite not enough, so we have 250 here, 250 iron ore per minute, getting crafted into ingots and then into screws and plates. These are 10 screws in total, 10 screws constructors in total, and 5 for iron plates, and then 1 floor above. These are first getting crafted into reinforced iron plates over here, and then these get merged with more screws to modular frames over here. And this is the final output for this building. Again, an overflow for getting sunk. And I don't want to bore you with all the details about how is the over and underclocking. Basically only the miner is overclocked, everything else is either normal clock speed or a little bit underclocked. But I want to give you an overview, so if you want to copy this setting or want to have a guide for a similar setup. So here you have the overview which I created in Excel and shows all the general information for the production line, for all the necessary input, which is only iron ore in this case, and the output, as well as all the recipes used and the amount of machines. Now, this is only the smaller building, because I should have taken a vehicle, so I don't have to run around so much. But I also have to show, I was indeed busy in between episodes, it took some hours, but yeah, let me show you the second building. Oh yeah, and by the way, this has a general override power switch at the miner tower, where I can power on and off this whole building. And yeah, I just showed the total power output or consumption. And this place here is slightly more complicated. I started with a modular layout. So yeah, with all, I think 4 different miner towers, 1 copper, normal, 2 normal iron ore nodes and 1 pure. And yeah, started to build all the components and then finally merged them so that they build one complete building as a whole. And again, we have a part for screws, a compartment or a department, whatever you want to call it, for iron plates, which get merged into reinforced iron plates again. Then we have a department for copper sheets, which get merged with an additional department for screws coming from over here. And then we produce them into rotors. And once these are completely backing up a total of 10 assemblers, they will again have an excess overflow getting stored down under in a little cargo hub, portal, or whatever you want to call it. I will show that in a second. But in these 10 assemblers, a total of 20 smart platings are getting produced. And this has a little access for reinforced iron plates and rotors as well, which will eventually get stored in these 2, and this one is for the smart platings. And since this is 20 per minute, it's actually backing up quite fast, and the access will again be merged in a little tiny logistics floor down under. Very simplistic, but yeah, in order to have a clean look in this one, this is simply getting fed into another awesome sink as well. And yeah, I have not decided yet. Actually, there's no real use for 20 smart platings per minute, but we will need them for the modular motor. And even if they get unused, remain unused for the moment, they still create a lot of bonus points for the coupons. And because all these maintenance took so long, we gathered another 35 coupons in the awesome sink, so we can do some shopping later. And yeah, eventually we will have everything unlocked from the awesome shop and will be able to do further cosmetics. But for now this has to do, and I'm actually very happy how this place turned out. And once again, I prepared a little overview because, yeah, this is a little bit bigger, and I also want to keep this in as a practice for the future, because the more complex buildings will get, the more difficult it will be to follow along, even in between episodes, when a building takes more than one episode. So again, this is the overview for this whole complex, and a little bit more input, a little bit more production lines which connect in between, but we will have a total output of 20 smart platings as well as 6.66 reinforced iron plates and 7.66 rotors. And yeah, this is basically everything for this place. So I can take off the grand tour, and now I want to start preparations for the world exploration. By the way, before I forget it, this is the manual, the general override power switch for the whole building, but in case I don't have any use for the smart platings, but need more rotors or reinforced iron plates or both, I have an additional power switch which separates these 10 assemblers from the rest of the room, so that I can generate only reinforced iron plates and rotors and not merge them or craft them any further into smart platings. Just in case if I need this in the future. No plans so far for that, but who knows. I just wanted to be prepared for anything else. Yes, and I used a lot of glass in this building because I like really the ambience and the environment of the desert, with all the rocks and mountains and the sky, and that you can look so far. So I didn't want to block the view, so I opted for a lot of glass, although different kinds of windows, but still that's why I chose to use so much glass. But that's gonna be it for the moment. Let me simply go to the bases really quick again, and then we will target our first production of the day, or new production setup, which is going to change the basic oil setup that we created in the last episode and change the petroleum coke output into packaged fuel. And once that is done, we will be able to complete all the remaining milestones of tier 5 and tier 6, because also in between episodes I prepared a little bit of fabric, and I think it's not enough for the milestone as well as the gas mask, which is also on the to-do list for today, but we will see. If it's not enough, then I will simply have to do a little bit more. So yeah, let me simply go to the oil setup again really quick, and I will meet you there in a minute. Alright, and here we are back again at our basic refinery. Now, before I forget it again, I wanted to point out some things first before I continue. The first thing is all the upgrading for the reinforced iron plates, for the rotor production, for the smart platings, as well as for the modular frames. They were not necessary because the output was backing up anyways, and we already had quite an amount that was getting sunk and crafted into coupons. But nonetheless, I had the time to do it, and I wanted to increase the output, make use of the producing power that we have, and we still have some to spare. At the moment we can still spare around 1250 megawatts with our coal generators only, and even if we tip over that, our biomass burners can jump in. So yeah, I had the motivation to do it, and so I just did it. The second thing is, I pointed out in the last episode that I found these bridges with the elevators online in another tutorial for a refinery setup, and I looked it up again because I didn't remember the name, and it was actually the channel Spectrum Dead. I will link it in the description as well as show it really quick in the video. So yeah, that's where I got the idea with feeding the pipe lines beneath these lift bridges when two lifts are linked directly to each other. And the third thing is, I showed at the end of the last episode the choices for alternate recipes, and one of them was a diluted packaged fuel. And I eventually picked this, although it's not the one that I wanted to have for the upcoming fuel generator side, because there is another one that crafts heavy oil residue, I think, directly into fuel, but not packaged one. Still, the amount is double the output because you add water to the equation, and it's basically the same concept with the packaged one, but it's not packaged, but simple pure fuel, which is leading or can be led directly into generators. So we will look out for that as well. Now, without any further delay, let me show you really quick what's the current status of this plant, of this refinement. So this is what is happening right now and what we built up in the last episode. And today we are going to expand this a little bit. Originally I was intending to change the conversion of heavy oil residue to petroleum coke, which is happening at the moment, into converting it to fuel. But instead we will make use of the second oil extractor that is simply sitting around here without any use. So we will add this and then add some refineries over here with an additional streamline. But in order to keep it clean and neat looking, I will cut this extractor off these 4 refinements, replace it with this extractor, and then this oil will feed a little bit on the left side of the given plant and will be used for another setup. So let me hook up this to power really quick. And then we are going to feed it. Where is the right angle? I think right here. We're going to feed it over here. It's already floating, and then we cut this. Let it back up, why not? It will go idle anyways. And now we can set up some additional foundations over here. Again, this has the intention of a temporary setup, so I will not take the time to make this a complete building with walls and roofs and so on, or give it cosmetic features, but instead we will use this until further notice and make some more bigger advanced factory sites later on. Okay, let's set up our first refinery, and now I can show you the recipes what we will be doing today. We will only use half of the second oil extractor, and a pure node would be sufficient as well, but we buried it somewhere under these foundations, and I don't want to change the running setup, so I will simply use around half of the oil extractor over there from the normal node, or maybe I will just double up the production, I'm not sure yet. But the current plan is quite simple, because we will use 60 crude oil cubed per minute and craft it into 40 fuel cubed per minute, as well as 30 polymer resin. And this will give us output for two another additional needed parts. So in order to start, we simply feed the oil in here, and then we need 2 things. The first one is we feed the polymer resin directly into a storage container. Because we currently have no automation process for it intended, but I still want to have it for research and for creating fabric, at least for the start, in a manual way. But there will be a possibility to make an automated process for polymer resin or fabric crafted by using polymer resin later on. But for now, we will simply pick it up by hand and use it on the craft bench manually. And the second setup actually requires that we use some of the plastic over here. And this is where I am thinking about using more of the crude oil and let this run, because we need 20 plastic for another machine that we haven't used yet. Let me pick up some rubber and plastic really quick. I didn't bring it from the bases because we produce it here. And we want to produce packaged fuel, and for this we need the 40 meters cubed fuel per minute, which is the exact output of this refinery. But we also need 40 empty canisters per minute in order to get 40 packaged fuel per minute as an output. And in order to craft the empty canisters, we need a constructor, which requires an underclocking and an input of 20 plastic for the 40 empty canisters per minute. So yeah, I think I will just not mess with this setup at all and simply add another refinery. Set this to plastic, and then the only thing we have to deal with is the heavy oil residue, but we can also feed this into this machine because it can handle another 20 heavy oil residue per minute because it's underclocked at the moment, and we can increase the clock speed again so that this heavy oil residue will be taken care of as well. Yes, we will do this. So the next thing, this is actually kind of improvised now, so please bear with me just a little bit. But we will feed the outgoing plastic right into the constructor with a 1:1 ratio over here. And then we need a packager right over here. Let's make it face this way. It's not the neatest, but whatever. Feed, that's too far forward. Feed the empty canisters right here. Then we need pipeline. Simply put it here. And as a result, we will receive our packaged fuel. Now, let's do it here. Okay. And then we still have, no, was this correct? No, this wasn't. Okay, now it's getting a bit messy. Let me switch up these really quick. Fuel. Yeah, I think this will be a little bit cleaner. I'm not sure if this polymer resin will clip or not. If it will, or if it does, I will change it. Here we need the empty canisters so we can put the constructor in front. Feed this here. And then in order to prevent flipping, let's lift it above the conveyor belt. I think this should be fine. Okay, now we have 20 plastic here. Heavy oil residue goes over there. I hope this doesn't backflow. Does a little bit. Let me put a valve here so we don't have this backflow. I think I've actually never used these, but I saw a video of what Darren plays, and he plays these whenever he wants to maintain one directional flows of liquid in pipelines. So what I imagine is this will allow the outgoing heavy oil residue coming from the right refinery and add into this flow, but it will prevent the outgoing heavy oil residue from these refineries flowing back to the right refinery. Might be wrong, but this one should not fill up at all now. And let me up the clock speed before I forget this. And now we hook everything up to power really quick. Shouldn't take too long. Where did I put the other poles? Oh, on this side. Let's do one of each. Add another one over here for the constructor as well as the packager. Now, did we hook up? Yes, the oil extractor is already producing. Plastic is coming out. This is idle because we haven't hooked it up yet. So we need another junction here. Do it like this. And I have to underclock this oil extractor as well because we only use 50%. Now the plastic is coming out already and getting crafted into empty canisters. Very nice. This should fill up with fuel, and the polymer resin is coming out as well. Getting transported into this storage container. And as soon as we have some fuel, we should have our packaged fuel coming out of here. Very nice. Pretty clean, pretty easy. That is packaged fuel done already. Okay, now the only thing that I have to worry about is adding awesome things for both polymer resin as well as packaged fuel in the future. Otherwise, if either of these containers back up, they will prevent the production from continuing at all. Let's underclock this to save some power. How's our power grid looking? Yes, around 100 megawatts that we added. So no problem at all for our power network. This one should be up and running as well now. It's getting backed up a little bit, but the pipes are empty, so no problem. Yeah, okay, this one has plenty of volume to spare. Anyways, yes, nice. Okay, so let me take some of these really quick. Now I will let some time pass by so that I will accumulate some more packaged fuel and some more polymer resin in order to make use of these in a minute. And as soon as I have, I don't know, 200 of each or something, I will simply drive back to the bases really quick and I will meet you there again. I'm back at the bases and some time has passed by. In total I brought 300 packaged fuel with me, but one stack was necessary for the Explorer because I ran out of petroleum coke and I didn't bring any more from the refinement with me, and also about 200 polymer resin. And I also prepared my inventory for all the milestones that we are now going to complete at once. So let's not waste any more time. At first we're gonna do the last milestone of tier 5 for the gas mask. And also more inventory slots, which can't be unseen. I always like that. Okay, that was nice and easy. The only thing that was necessary from last episode, or that was missing in the last episode, was fabric, but I prepared 100 fabric in between episodes so that we can also finish this one as well. Now onwards to tier 6. And the first one is actually the expanded power infrastructure, which does not only unlock the fuel generators for us, but also again increased conveyor belts and conveyor lifts. And this one we have already long ago, but now we have Mark IV, or as soon as we complete this milestone, we have Mark IV conveyor belts available. And these actually require encased industrial beams, to be set up. So we already produce these in the background as well and have plenty in stock, so no problem at all either. And because I prepared some, or many actually, computers beforehand as well, this is no problem at all. Further on to the jetpack, and this excites me because I am really looking forward to this. Some plastic, some rubber, and 50 packaged fuel. Then we have the monorail train technology. And I don't want to waste too much time because we looked into all of these milestones already beforehand in earlier episodes. So yeah, I don't want to waste too much time to go over everything again. But as soon as we have unlocked all the stuff, we will play around with it anyways. Okay, these are all the required parts fed in. And now we will listen to the soft voice of Ada for quite some time, because now we are going to launch the pod for 5 times in a row. First one, the gas mask.
Milestone reached. Gas masks and filter parts will ensure increased odds of survival in gas-based hazardous environments. Fixit Incorporated would like to extend the friendly advice to not forget to change filters regularly.
I don't know if we can craft these already. No, I'm missing more fabric, but we will do this in a minute once we deal with the alternate recipe for fabric by using polymer resin. Next up, fuel generators and conveyor belts Mark IV.
Milestone reached. The fuel generator will match power generation to the increased consumption of recently acquired technologies and buildings. Additionally, improved conveyor belts and lifts can now be constructed. Caterium scanning unlocked.
It was beforehand again, as already said, but Ada doesn't seem to care. Next up, the jetpack, and we will definitely craft this once we finished all the milestones, but without further ado, launch the pod again.
R&D inflated your pocket dimension and has provided a jetpack which operates on oil-based fuel for increased navigational capabilities as well as odds of survival.
Yes, and this will be on our back in a minute, but next up is the monorail train technology. Oops.
Milestone reached. A new set of buildings and vehicles needed for long-range transportation has been made available. In addition to built-in power conduction, rails-based transit ensures increased efficiency and reliability for both the transport of pioneers and cargo.
Yes, as she just mentioned on a side note, train rails have also the ability to transport power. So if you have 2 train stations on a railway network, and each train station will have a power connection, and if you hook up, let's say if we build a train station over here on the basis, hook it up to power in order to feed electricity to the train, and then the railway network will lead, for example, let's just say our basic refinement. The train station will not need more hookup, or the train station does not need to be hooked up to power again, but it will get power by the railways. And instead we could, if we had not dragged the power anyways over there, we could just use the train station, the second one, as an output for power, and yeah, transport energy like this, so you don't have cables all over the world. Which is also another nice alternative way to transport power through the world without having cables everywhere around. And last but not least, let's simply unlock the additional pipelines. There were no need for it until now, but they will come in handy in the future for sure.
Milestone reached. Improved pipelines and pumps can now be constructed, capable of handling increased throughput of any fluid, as well as providing increased pressure handling for better vertical transport, respectively.
Yes, we also have now more efficient and more effective pumps available, which require double the amount of power, but they have more than double the head lift to the pipelines. Now, this is the last milestone of tier 5 and all of tier 6 completed at once. This might feel a little bit rushed to some of you, but as again said, this is not my first playthrough, and I have a very specific goal in mind that I want to reach with this file, other than simply playing in update 8. But in order to do that, I will have to unlock all the stages or all the tiers, and then we will be able to follow our main goal, or my main goal in this game. But I will come back to this later. Now, all that we need to pick up for the jetpack is circuit boards and motors, and I hope I have not spent all the circuit boards for the computers. No, I didn't. And now we can craft the jetpack. Put it on our back. And now we can use it, or we can use fuel in order to fly around. This is so nice. Again, you can still die with this, but for example, if I climb over here and then jump down. I can catch myself mid-air if I have fuel left. So if you use the jetpack, you can hover a little bit by using backspace on and off. Also use it steadily, but you will use fuel, and it only refuels itself when you have enough fuel in the inventory, of course, but also when you are touching the ground. So for example, if you're on a ladder or if you are in the air, it will not refuel itself until you touch the ground again. And this will be a game changer, not only for the general gameplay, but for the exploration tour that I have in mind, and so on and so forth. This is the jetpack done. And I actually have more fabric to do or to craft in order to build a gas mask. So let's turn around to the MAM really quick and go to mycelia and unlock the synthetic, I can still pronounce this, the synthetic polyester fabric. Jesus. I might even mess it up until now, but whatever. You know what I mean. Now let's see. Fabric. I fear, yes, we need the refinery in order to use water and polymer resin to craft fabric. So we could simply transport water to our basic refinement and add another refinery at the end where the polymer resin comes out and craft fabric again. But I will think about this, whether or not this is necessary, or it will be more useful to set up a refinery somewhere and feed polymer resin manually again in every now and then, so that we can build fabric and use it for gas filters, because we only need to craft one gas mask, but we have to fill up our gas filters every now and then. Now, in order to produce more fabric, how much fabric did I need again? Another 75. So I think I am a little bit short on mycelia to do it only with this. Maybe I can use the hog protein. Let me craft some fabric really quick until I have 100 again, and then we will produce a gas mask for us. And here we are back again. I have to confess that I have beaten up 3 aliens for this fabric and converted their protein into biomass, and then used the mycelia that I had already to craft more fabric. But yeah, some things have to be done. Now I also need more rubber, but I have plenty of these. Actually, I have so much backed up and brought it to the bases that I had to add an additional storage container for it. But without further ado, let's do a gas mask. Also, I think you also see an animation when you put it on. Yes. And you can see the filter thingy sticking out of your face. And now, once we produce gas masks, which we need coal for actually. I should have prepared this, but let me drive to our coal generators really quick. Yeah, and once you have gas masks in your inventory, excuse me, gas filters, you don't actually need to stick these onto the gas mask manually. You simply have to have them in your inventory. But this also could lead to you forgetting the filters, because yeah, you can store everything at once and then you might forget to pick up the filters again, so you just notice when you are in gas. I don't want to say that this happened to me in the past, but yeah, just for just for mentioning. Now luckily our first temporary yet still available coal generators are kind of close by. By the way, for the TNT setup, these will, eventually have to be gone because we need the coal, but I will come back to this once we are at it. And I fear again that this episode will not have enough time for the last point on the to-do list. Although we are almost done with our research and the radar tower and the hard drive scan do not take too much time, but still I don't want to overdo it and maybe do a dedicated episode for explosives, which is not the worst thing to do in my opinion. Now, some filters. And yeah, I don't have to showcase what they do, I guess, but simply when you are in gas, they will activate, get consumed over time. I don't know how long they last in detail, but yeah, you will be safe from gas quite some time. That is it for the gas mask. And now we do need to do 2 further research actions, and I think they were at Caterium? No? Here they are. Okay, the first thing that I want to do is I want to add the hard drive as a scannable object for our object scanner. Currently I don't have it equipped, but I need to craft an additional one for the research anyways. Let me add this instead of the chainsaw, whatever. Yeah, currently we only can scan for power slugs or nuts or nutritions. But the ticking annoys me. But we want to add the hard drive as a third option, so when we explore we will be able to find these much more easy, or much easier. I need screws. I actually used all of them almost in... This might be exactly enough. Forgot again what I need as well. No. Wire, reinforced iron plates. I think I have everything here in my garbage storage container. Wire, but let me pick up some screws really quick. Now what I forget to mention again is when you use the jetpack you also carry momentum. And what I really like to do, let me simply take some time for this. Yeah. You already saw me using conveyor belts for gaining additional speed while jump cancelling or slide cancelling. And because when you run along conveyor belts you are much faster. But you can also use this as a little bit of a, yeah, I don't know, accelerator, let's call it this way. And when you slide cancel on a conveyor belt and then use the the jetpack for hovering around, you can maintain this momentum and move around much faster than you would by simply slide cancelling or running. So I really like this. In order to, let's say I want to go over there, I set up a conveyor belt in a straight line, use this as an accelerator and give myself a little speed boost in order to be there. And I think it might even be faster than using damn, I have a blank. Hypertubes, excuse me. It might even be faster than using hypertubes. I have to test this. Maybe I can get rid of this and instead put a small line of conveyor belts Mark IV over there. But yeah, without further ado, sorry for this But before I forget it again, I wanted to point this out really quick. Okay, we need an object scanner, and we need also more motors. Excuse me if I sometimes jump around in between topics, but it's really hard to play, talk, and focus about your own thoughts at the same time. Although it is still very, very much fun to do this episode or to do this Let's Play series. I admire all the content creators who do this on a regular basis and make it look very, easy. And now we can scan for hard drives as well. Now, since we already picked up all the hard drives in the desert, or at least close by, we don't have any signal on our object scanner for hard drives. But when we roam around the world and explore new areas, we will pick up signals for these as well. Damn it, I'm short one circuit board. Let me craft one really quick. And then we will be able to build a radar tower. And this thing is handy as well. You find it, excuse me, I have to slow down a little bit. You will find a radar tower under organization. And not only will it scan the surrounding area for you and unlock any undiscovered maps in its range, every spot that you have not discovered yet, but also show you some details like resource node locations, terrain data, and so on. And when you access the radar tower directly, let me put everything together because I have to craft more circuit boards, and then I will show you what I mean. And now I have everything for the radar tower. Now this building is actually huge, but it's a radar tower, so it makes sense. And it does require power. To be precise, 30 megawatts. So let's hook it up. And then you will see that it has a set range and will show all the resource nodes directly. You can also see this on the map. And yeah, have some filters, I guess, so you cannot toggle these on or off separately, only all at once. But if you access the radar tower directly, you will get more additional information, for example, what kind of animals you have in the area, how many artifacts, how many slugs, and yeah, if applicable, also hard drives. Now that we have all, because we picked up all the hard drives in this area, the radar tower cannot find any, but if there were any more, it would show it in this overview. And this is everything for the radar tower and the hard drive scan. Okay, I checked the footage until now, but yeah, there's really no time left. I don't want to overdo it again and make a cut right after foundations or something like this. So let's call it a day here. And in the next episode we will start with setting up explosive production right away. But still, we managed to complete a lot of stuff today. And before I forget it again, I want to give you a quick overview about the current status of the refinement that we expanded today. So if you are curious or want to have an idea or inspiration for your own setup, this is what is happening at our refinement at the moment. You already saw the overview for the version 1, let's call it this way, that we finished last episode earlier, and this now is version 2, so feel free to copy or to get inspired by this. And yeah, this is gonna be it for this episode. Thank you very much again for watching. Feel free to share any feedback, I would gladly hear it. And yeah, any advices, any constructive criticism. But that's gonna be it from my side. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.